Hi everyone, Amy here. I just wanted to put in my 2 cents on the coronavirus and some things that are happening in the world today. It's kind of interesting watching the world panic about not wanting to catch the virus. And unfortunately, um, people like me who have been disabled with an autoimmune disorder for many years, this is our normal. Um, we fear getting a virus on top of what we already have. Um, for me, uh, I am absolutely miserable 24 hours a day, 24/7, 365 days a year. My body is my prison. I already feel like I have the flu and have felt like that for over 30 years. So the last thing that I want is to catch an actual virus or something else on top of um, how bad I feel all of the time. And this is the fear that people with a chronic illness live with. Um, we don't let the fear rule us, but we have to take precautions. Like um, this winter, I've tried to stay in as much as possible just to avoid the regular flu. Um, and I've been stuck in the house for so long now, for so many years. I stopped driving around 2001. I mean, I will drive again at some point when I absolutely have to, but I get very out of it and confused, and driving's actually painful for me because of some of my injuries. So this is my normal, being stuck in the house sick. Um, and I don't think people realize how much mental fortitude and strength it takes to be alone practically 24 hours a day. Um, you know, this is uh, our life. And I think this is really shining a light on people who live like this every day. I see people going stir crazy after just being in the house a few days. So now imagine someone like me who is stuck in the house, um, for over a decade. I do get out a little bit, but not a whole lot. I don't feel that great, so um, my trips out are limited. Oops, sorry about that. So this might be a long video, and I apologize, but I have a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, and I made some notes. So I have a lot of chronic illness friends on Instagram, and last night I read a message that just broke my heart um, from a guy who's been bedbound for off and on for about 2 years, and he's so lonely right now, and he gets a lot of messages from other people who are sick, and they say they have no friends. And this just makes me so incredibly sad. I mean, folks, we live in a world with over 7 billion people. How is it there are people who are still lonely out there? Um, they say that loneliness is at an all-time high. We're so connected by technology, yet we're so disconnected. Um, the one good thing that I've seen come out of this is some people are banding together and checking on um, friends, family, neighbors, and that's so important, not just in a time of crisis, but all of the time. Um, you know, we're in this life together, and we really need to look out for one another. And that's that's one good thing that I've seen happening. Um, So I hear a lot of people talking about they won't get the virus because they're young and their immune systems are strong. And that's not necessarily the case. Never would I have thought that at age 23 I would go to a rock concert and contract a mono-like virus and be disabled from it about 26 years later, and I'm still sick. Um, no one's immune, literally. Um, Back in 1918, during the Spanish flu pandemic, a large number of young adults were actually one of the most prevalent groups of people who died, which is kind of interesting because having a healthy immune system is what they think uh, killed them. Basically, immune cells were produced by the body, uh, creating what's called a cytokine storm, um, which can be fatal. So no one's immune to this. And even if you don't catch the virus, you can be carrying it, and you can expose expose it to people like me with a compromised immune system, the elderly, people with underlying conditions. It makes me angry to see how what's the right word, lax people are and kind of arrogant. Um, and this is what people like me face every day, knowing that people are out there sick going to public places, um, and they don't care. A couple of years ago, I went out to eat one night, and the next day I had to go to the emergency room. I don't know if I contracted something or if it was my immune system going crazy, but it was very bad. I thought I was going to end up walking with a cane, or at the very least, didn't know, the doctors didn't know if it was fatal, if it could come back, what it was. But it was a very scary period in my life, and it's possible that, I caught something because someone decided to go out when they were sick. And I know that some people have to go out of necessity, but if you're sick, even if there's not a pandemic going on, don't do it. Wear a mask, something. It's just really inconsiderate um, for people to do that and expose everyone to their germs. Um, Also, another thing that I've seen that's really um, upsetting me is people saying, well, people die of this and that all of the time. Well, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Absolutely nothing. Try telling that to the members of families who have died from the virus. We can care about more than one thing that's killing people. Um, I saw that a family, big Italian family in New Jersey, they have lost 3 of their family members. So try telling them that, well, such and such kills more people every year. One loss of life is too many. Um, and I'm just upset and kind of stunned that people can be so callous and cold. Um, so it's upsetting to me. So let's see, the other thing, I don't, there are a lot of people saying that we're overreacting to the virus. And I've been studying viruses and things for such a long time because I have an interest in it since I became disabled by a virus. And back in '94, a book came out called The Coming Plague. And I didn't get to read all of it. I think I ended up moving and lost the book. But it was so interesting, talking about past epidemics and then talking about future epidemics. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read you a little bit of the prologue. We always want to believe that history happened only to them in the past, and that somehow we are outside history rather than enmeshed within it. Many aspects of history are unanticipated and unforeseen, predictable only in retrospect. The fall of the Berlin Wall is a single recent example. Yet in one vital area, the emergence and spread of new infectious diseases, we can already predict the future, and it is threatening and dangerous to us all. The history of our time will be marked by recurrent eruptions of newly discovered diseases. Now keep in mind this was written back in 1994. Most recently, hantavirus in the American West, epidemics of diseases migrating to new areas, for example, cholera in Latin America, diseases which become important through human technology, a certain menstrual tampons favored toxic shock syndrome, and water cooling towers provided an opportunity for Legionnaire's disease, and diseases which spring from insects and animals to humans through man-made disruptions in local habitats. To some extent, each of these processes has been occurring throughout history. What is new, however, is the increased potential that at least some of these diseases will generate large-scale, even worldwide epidemics. The global epidemic of human immune deficiency virus is the most powerful and recent example. Yet AIDS does not stand alone. It may well be just the first of the modern, large-scale epidemics of infectious disease. The world has rapidly become much more vulnerable to the eruption, and most critically to the widespread and even global spread of both new and old infectious diseases. This new and heightened vulnerability is not mysterious. The dramatic increases in worldwide movement of people, goods, and ideas is the driving force behind the globalization of disease. For not only do people travel increasingly, but they travel much more rapidly and go to many more places than ever before. A person harboring a life-threatening microbe can easily board a jet plane and be on another continent when the symptoms of illness strike. The jet plane itself and its cargo can carry insects bringing infectious agents into new ecological settings. Few habitats on the globe remain truly isolated or untouched as tourists and other travelers penetrate into the most remote and previously inaccessible areas in their search for new vistas, business, or recreation. This new global vulnerability is dramatically illustrated by the history of HIV/AIDS. While its geographical origins remain uncertain, it is clear that the global spread of HIV was underway by the mid-1970s. By 1980, about 100,000 people worldwide were infected with HIV. Yet the discovery of AIDS in California in 1981 and the subsequent identification of the causative virus HIV in 1983 resulted from a series of very fortunate circumstances. Put another way, AIDS could have easily remained unrecognized for at least another 5 to 10 years, with devastating global health consequences. Delay in discovering AIDS could have resulted, and then it goes on to talk about the different things that could have happened if AIDS had gone undiscovered for a longer period of time. So I also watched a documentary based on this book, and keep in mind this is back in 1994. Actually, I think I watched it in 95, but they were talking about way back then about how a lot of us have built up an immunity to antibiotics. Not that antibiotics are effective against viruses, but it's very interesting. When I was growing up, I was sick a lot, and I was prescribed tons of antibiotics, which harmed my immune system. And then they talked about all the way back then how antibiotics were being fed to animals, to cows. So we would get a little bit of that through our meat, through our milk. And it was making it harder and harder to come up with drugs that would fight these diseases. So just very interesting stuff. And I have a little game that I started playing on my iPhone a few years ago. And usually I play happy games like The Sims, although my Sims always have some disaster going on, but I like amusement park games and everything. Usually I'm not into doom and gloom games, but I do have an interest in medicine. So this game is a plague simulator, and it's based on past plagues, and then you can create your own virus or bacteria. And it's really scary how quickly a virus can spread. You slowly introduce new transmissions, ways to transmit the virus or whatever you've created. So, for instance, some viruses transmitted by mosquitoes, or through ship cargo, or uh, dust particles. And then you introduce different symptoms, and all of this increases the infectivity levels, and it's very scary how quickly something like this can spread. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Not that I'm an expert by any means, but like I said, I have been um, studying and researching for many years, and it's scary stuff. I'm not an alarmist, um, but I do, I've been through a lot in my life, and I'm disabled, and I have trained myself to look at worst case scenarios, just just to better equip myself to deal with things. And it is concerning to me how this all might end up playing out. Um, if things keep getting worse, I worry about looting. People just totally, you think they're crazy now, um, it could get so much worse. I fear people looting, breaking into people's houses to get what they need if we experience food shortages, or shortages of other supplies. Um, I I think Night of the Living Dead, where um, people might panic if they think someone's infected and shoot them. I know this sounds crazy, but I think that we've seen throughout history how crazy and desperate people can get. Um, I pray it doesn't come to that. I don't think we're in end days according to the Bible. I mean, we may be, but I don't think we'll see it in my lifetime, because there's so many other things that have to happen um, according to the Bible before that um, becomes true. But what's interesting is this virus is called the coronavirus because the cells look like they have spikes that look like little crowns on them. And of course, crowns are mentioned throughout the Bible, the crown of thorns. And then in Revelation, it says that the Antichrist will ride in on a white horse wearing a crown. So, it's just very interesting, and a scary time. But we have to keep the faith. Everybody keeps telling me we'll get through this. And yeah, maybe we will, maybe we won't. Maybe most of humanity will be killed off. I don't know. But I do know that no matter what happens, God will be with us. We got to keep our faith, and we need to take care of one another, look out for each other. Let's see. So, yeah, I'm loving the things that a lot of people are doing to stay positive and to help one another. It's a beautiful thing to see. It just makes me sad that um, it takes a time of crisis to bring people together. Um, we need to stop labeling people as liberals, conservatives, Republicans, and Democrats, because in the end, none of that matters. We're all going to the same place, um, and we're all in this together. Um, so I know it'll go, after this is over, people will go back to normal and forgetting that we're all in this together and there will be division, but for now, it's nice to see people pulling together. So definitely check on your family and friends and your neighbors, each other. Just be mindful of what people are going through and stay safe and healthy. And if you need to reach out, um, I'm here for you. I just made a video for our little business and said that, although this is my normal, being stuck inside, isolated for many years, this is new for other people. Um, and a lot of people are having trouble dealing with it. So if you need to talk, I am here for you. God bless.